Welcome back to Doubling Down on Freedom. This week we've got a ridiculous update of all the stuff that we got done. We normally release a video every Friday, and we're doing it every Monday now. And so this is a 10-day compaction of everything that we got done. We also had my pops come down and my little sister come down, who were both amazing. My pops is still here, but my sister went back yesterday, and so lots of progress, and I think it got us back on track. So if you stick around, you'll see the process that we chose to go with for the self-leveler after watching 20 videos and reading the instructions. And I think it looks good, and we'll see how it holds up. All right, let me show you everything we got done. So today we're freehanding it because the gimbal wants to act crazy. Last week, the garage looked crazy. Check her out now. We've got stations set up. We have Stephen Jeffries from Mobile Dump, veteran-owned business. Local here in East Texas. So for all your dumpster needs, feel free to look him up. We had Pops in the corner this week doing nail removal detail from all the trim. Not sure if we're going to use it or if we're not, but as Pop would say, you never leave a nail in a piece of wood. We're still trying to get rid of the flooring over there, but we got a good work center, good workspace set up, lots of organization in here. So we're moving right along. And if you noticed, we're going to have to do some tile work. And so I looked at reviews and tried to pick out a tile saw, and the Ridgid is what we're going with because I have a feeling my wife is going to want bigger than 12-inch by 12-inch tile, and this can handle 18-inch tile. So we got that put together this week, and I will tell you, if you buy one, I thought it was going to be a quick assembly. You better set some time aside because either we're super slow, which is probably factual, or they just take a little bit of time to put together. Super happy to have that prepped for the next couple weeks whenever we do some tile work. One thing you'll notice, we have drywall up around the door frame there. We also have drywall in and our first coat of mud. So we have officially started the first phase of drywall and gotten all of our patches in. This is the stuff that they said was $4,500 to do. So all along here we got done. We got that patch in. We got that one over there. Yes, I know there's no drywall on this wall, but look at those shiny, nice new studs. So we got all that rot pulled out, replaced, shored up. This is not structural. This is just for drywall on the other side because we replaced those two pieces of drywall. For this specific wall, we're going to have to fur it out because it leans back at the top about 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to have to fur that out so that when the drywall goes on, it's all good to go. The other big thing, look at that. We've got an outlet, a 50 amp receptacle, exactly where we need it. We subcontracted that out to JLC Electric here in Nacogdoches. They had a crew come over and knock it out in like an hour and a half, but they were very thorough. They did a very good job. If you remember from other videos, there's more drywall work, more patch work done. And this one over here, we're not talking about the self-leveler stuff. And we got those in. So literally, except for the kitchen wall, all of our drywall patches are in. And we have saved ourselves, I'm gonna say $3,500. They wanted between $2,500 and $4,000 to put the drywall in. So clearly we're not done. We just have it in and we have the first layer on. We've got probably 4 more layers to go and we'll be content. We've got a lot more drywall work up here too. Should we know what we're gonna do in this bathroom? We absolutely should. Do we know what we're gonna do in this bathroom? We absolutely don't. The one thing that we do know is we cut out the holes at the bottom. I guess we're not 100% done. We've still got patchwork to do in here. I spoke too soon. But I told you that wallpaper was going to be an issue for figuring out the texture. And so the sister, in her spare time, ridiculous, up to like 1 o'clock in the morning some nights, started getting wallpaper down. And that was great. I was really appreciative of it. The thing that we're waiting on is we're debating on if this is structural, if that's load bearing, if we can just take that out. So we're going to get some answers this week or next week. We're going to figure that out because this is where we need the tile saw. And this is the public bathroom for everyone, and it needs to get done pretty quick. So more to come on the American bathroom. Okay, now let's talk about the self-leveler. So they quoted us $2,500 just for the labor, and then I knew that the material was going to be another $1,000 or $1,200 according to them. So we got lots of footage of the prep work, but the audio, I had other people mic'd up and didn't think about it, and so we're talking over each other. So I'm just going to go through and kind of explain it. So in this video, you'll see that I used floor scraper to get all the gunk and glue and all kinds of stuff, make it a little leveler before we went in and very lightly dry mopped it. I won't lie, we debated on renting a machine for this, and we did not because it required water. There can only be so much percentage of moisture in the slab when you put down the glue and lay down the self-leveler. So we didn't want to have to wait 2 days for that moisture to come out naturally. So we chose the manual method, and we ended up taking 2 days before we poured it anyways because I was almost out the next day. So the first thing we did was scrape all the paint and all the gook off of the floor, and you saw that. And so the next thing is we're going around, we're putting this seam sealer up against the edge and we're stapling it in. Then we will go through and we will use caulk to make sure that the bottom of it doesn't move. That way there's a barrier between the seal plate and the self-leveler. Once everything dries, you usually have to wait about 2 to 4 hours. Then we can go through and we can pull up all of this foam because it's easy to pull off. And we've got what we need to have. Did you run me out of staples?
Not that I know of, or on purpose. Is it empty?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds about right. About the time we start to film, staplers are gone. So what we're doing, because we had to have that gap that we created at the bottom of the drywall, we're just rolling under. Thank you. We're just rolling the seam sealer under and then basically shooting a staple through 2 layers of it so that it just doesn't go straight through. All right, so the next phase that we have to do is once the seam seal is up, we have to caulk it. And so you're supposed to use a silicone caulk whenever you're doing this. And you have to be very careful because anything the size of a nail hole or whatnot will allow this self-leveler to go through it and it'll drain that area. And so you don't want that. So the goal here is the foam is the backing so that it doesn't hit the base plate of the framing. And then this is going to seal the seal. It's going to seal the seal in between the concrete and the seam seal. All right, that's it. We're going to do it for the rest of this room and the rest of the next room and the next room and the next room and the next room. If you don't remember or hadn't watched other videos, the issue in the house is the center of the house is poured high and the outsides are low. So once we got all the floor work done, then we got the seam sealer put around the edges of the base plate and we got that all caulked, let it dry. We let it set for about a day and we went back just with clear minds and checked to make sure that everything was caulked good and we weren't going to have any leaks. With it being our first time doing it, I knew that I needed an extra set of hands, capable hands, to help us slop these 50-pound buckets around. The next thing I did was I went through with the laser level and set it to go across, and I set it at a high point, and then I used a tape measure to measure down to see how far it was going down. It was anywhere between 1/4 inch and 1 inch, and 1/4 inch was our threshold for the flooring that we're going to do. So what I did is, as I was going around spots in the room, I would put a circle, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. And I would draw a circle and put that number in it. And then I drew like a line around the floor of where the perimeter would be of the self-leveler. And that gave me a pretty good indication. The cheat that I used was I took a regular broomstick and I marked a line on it where dead even would be with how it was set up. And then so as I would pour, I would go and just dip it down to the top of it and see how far I was, what depth I was missing. And that was a good indication, and actually it worked really, really well on figuring out how much more I needed to pour or push over there. Then we had Trevor and my old man, the Pops, set up. Pops was mixing, Trevor was pouring in the bags slowly, and then he would bring the bags to me, and then I would pour them, and I would just move them around as needed, and use the bubble popper, the little spiky thing, to get all the bubbles out. Now the nice thing is the tools were not super expensive to get this done. I did need spiked shoes, and I need the bubble popper, and I had a concrete trowel thing on a stick. I don't know what it's called, a concrete mover. And I want to say that I got all of that for under $100. And then maybe throw in another $100 for the seam sealer and the caulk, which was the most expensive part of it, of those two. And so $200, we were pretty set up and ready to go. Now the product is expensive. It was $30 a bag, and we got 15 bags the first time and 9 the second. We have 2 left over. So in essence, we used 23 bags of this filler. There's the mixing crew right there. If I'm not completely embarrassing myself in public math, I think that's about $690 in product. So for $890, almost $900, we were able to get about 80% of what needs to get done. So $800, 4 days, compared to $3,600, and they were going to come do it the next day. Given our situation, time was not the most valuable resource in this scenario, and the money savings was well worth it. Now think about drywall. In this renovation, they wanted, we'll call an average of $3,500 to do the drywall. We have most of the drywall already in. It was less than 2 sheets, and we have the first set of mud and tape on it. Now we have a lot more work to do on the drywall, and it will probably be a whole week of videos all on its own. And that won't be a fun video probably to watch or to make, because drywall can be tedious, but it's not $3,500 tedious. I don't even want to ask what they would charge to come in and redo the framing in the kitchen for literally 2 2x4s and a bottom plate that was 35 inches long. I'm at least going to say we saved $2,500, maybe $3,000 this last 10 days. All right, to give a little context, we did pour this room and this room the first day, and we had our buddy come back the next day and help pour the other room. You can also see that we've got some spots that this is a little bit thicker and it needs a little more time to dry. One of the things that it said not to do is to open a window, try to put excessive heat or anything on it. Airflow is fine, but don't try to over dry it too quickly. So we've just been having some fans on it, as you can see. This one was quite a bit of a deeper pour. The outside wall all over there, you can tell, that's probably 5/8 of an inch. And this is all 1/4 of an inch stuff. Halfway through is about 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, and then you go 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch on the back wall. We've got some more work that we have to come in and do. I did have to get a product called panty patch or something like that, patty patch. We'll go in, because it leaves a bit of a lip on the side, we'll go through and that'll help transition from the concrete to the self-leveler and smooth it all out really nice. I will tell you, when you're walking on it and you transition from the concrete to the self-leveler, man, it feels so much better. There is very little slope, if any. I think it worked out perfect. We don't have any power in here. This was poured 2 days ago, and you can tell that it's still pretty, there's some spots that it's still pretty wet. And when I say wet, just not completely dried. So this is all completely dried, very, very minimal, 1/8 of an inch, if that. This room was insane. This room was 1 inch difference over here. With the threshold and the barrier that we used just a piece of wood, put it in between the door jamb, and then put the seam sealer over there. We did the same thing to the closets because the closets were fairly close and we didn't want to mess it up. And you can see that's really the job we did when it came to the seam sealer and the caulk. So we'll give this a day or so to dry out. We want to make sure it's completely dry before we go ahead and put any type of keels or any type of sealant on it. I will tell you one thing that I learned about this product is it sets up very, very quick. So we had, let's say, from here to here is one bag because it is a 1 inch gap depth over there. And so it takes about 3 to 4 minutes for them to mix a bag. Well, here's the problem. The product sets up in 15 minutes, about 15 to 30. So first bag, when you're pouring, you got to pour sequential because you're on a time lapse. If you come back like I did, so I started over here, went around, came back around over here, and this was still just a little bit off from the 1/4 of an inch, and so I poured it. Last bucket, look at that. You've got a lip. The stuff on the right was already set up. I can visibly tell a difference from this to that. It's not terrible, but you can tell that the product couldn't integrate and combine like the first stuff. This looks all like a continuous pour for the most part. So when you're doing this, make sure and think through the process of what order you're going to pour. And I would start from one side and go to the other. If you start from the corner and go 1, 2, 3, 4, like it's super confusing. I literally would start from one corner and go down. The nice thing about this product, even though it's viscous, you have to push it where it needs to go. Self-leveler can be kind of tricky. It is not going to self-level to the floor. It self-levels where you push it. And so it's important that you go through, once you get that bag, like I poured this first one, I had to use the trowel and push the concrete, push the self-leveler all the way up against the wall and keep pushing it back so that it would stay. Next bucket really helped keep it where it needed to be. And I had to keep doing that and adjusting as I went. This was the second stuff that we poured on day 2. And this is in the living room. It's still pretty dark, honestly. I expected it to be a little lighter by now. There is a little bit of a shadow. That over there was about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch thick. But this is still quite a bit dark compared to the other bedrooms. We also could have used too much water and got our mixture too soupy. And that would extend the drying out phase as well. So this, like I said, this was done 1.5 days ago. And so we'll give it another day. I think it'll look really, really good tomorrow. But for the most part, I'm super content and super happy. You really cannot tell the 5/8 of an inch, almost 3/4 of an inch drop off from there to this side that I'm standing right now. You can't tell it hardly at all now. And I'm super happy about that. So that the flooring works the way that it's supposed to work. So I know that was a lot of information and a 10-day update compared to a 7-day update since we moved from releasing on Friday to Monday. Overall, I think we're making a lot of good progress and we're really, really close to staying on our timeline. Today is an off day for me. It's an admin day, no physical production value I can see. And we're gonna do the budget again and make sure and see where we're at. And doesn't sound fun, but we got to do it because we got to stay on budget and on time. If you're new to the channel, we are a retired veteran couple that is trying to figure life out in this civilian world because it's crazy. And we're just doing what we got to do. This is kind of my or our vlog of that journey and hoping that it helps someone along the way and maybe create community a little bit. If you like this content, the easiest, cheapest, free way to support us is to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us out, helps us grow, and helps us keep vlogging the things that we're doing and, you know, just trying to add normalcy to a crazy world right now. And as always, I'm going to ask for a favor. If someone hasn't already asked this week, do me a favor. Make the day you deserve. It took it in the back. It took it in the back. That's what she said.
That's exactly why I'm laughing.